this is where all of my money goes. Every time a bill comes, I just hate owning a home because who needs to pay $250 for electric?
Oof, that feeling is real and it's more common than people admit. But it almost always comes down to one thing: going in without the full picture. And it's not her fault. That's a preparation problem, not a homeownership problem. There's a take going around right now that buying a home is a terrible investment. And on the surface, the math, it looks rough. Maintenance costs, property taxes, interest, maybe HOA dues. Put it all on a spreadsheet and it can look like renting wins most of the time. But here's what the spreadsheet is missing. The Federal Reserve just released data, and the median homeowner across the US has a net worth of $430,000. The median renter, $10,000. It's a 43 to 1 gap, and it doesn't happen by accident. And I want to show you why, who should actually buy and those who probably should wait, because a home isn't a bad investment. A bad strategy is a bad investment. By the way, if you don't know me, I'm John Farrell. I've been lending for over 25 years, and what I've found consistently is this. Most people, they're not asking the wrong question, they're just missing a piece of the equation, so let's fix that. First, the real cost people forget when they buy. I get it. Second, the leverage math that almost nobody explains clearly. $135,000 into stocks versus $135,000 on a $1.3 million home. The numbers will probably surprise you. And third, who should buy and who should wait? Because if you're thinking like me, homeownership isn't for everyone right now, and that's okay. But for the right person at the right time with the right structure, it's probably one of the most powerful wealth building tools available. Okay, let's start with the critic's strongest point. Homes cost money to own. They do. They cost money, more than most people plan for. Property taxes, insurance, maybe HOA dues. And then there's the sniper piece of owning a home: maintenance. I call it the sniper because a lot of people don't think about it. Let's say the AC unit fails in August, the roof after 10 years, the plumbing call at midnight. I tell every client, you got to budget conservatively for this because the cost is not just the mortgage payment. Now, here's where the conversation changes. The common argument is take that down payment and invest it instead. And it sounds logical, but it's missing something critical. Let's use some real numbers. So you have $135,000. Option one, you invest it, 7% average annual return. It's a reasonable historic stock market assumption. And after 10 years, that $135,000 grows to roughly $265,000. That's real growth. That's not nothing. But here's option two. You put that same $135,000 down on a $1.35 million home, 10% down. Here's the key: that $135,000 doesn't drive the growth. The market does on the full 1.35 million. That 1.35 million home is worth approximately 2.24 million after 10 years. So in this example, I'm just going to use a 5.2 annual appreciation. So that $1.35 million home 10 years ago is now worth approximately 2.24 million. That's $890,000 in appreciation on a $135,000 investment. Stocks grow your money on your money. Real estate grows your money on the bank's money. That's leverage. And I know there's going to be a lot of people that say, hey, well, over a 30-year period, you're going to pay that so much more in interest and all that. And that's true. It is true. Let me explain. Every mortgage has two parts: interest, which goes to the bank, and principal, which builds your equity. Here's something small that makes a real difference. We'll use a real loan of $1,215,000 at 6.5%. The standard principal and interest payment is $76.80. Over the 30-year period, you'll pay $1.549 and change in interest. Total out of pocket is going to be $2.4 million. You're looking and you're like, geez, that's a lot. I only borrowed $1.2 million. It's basically double. It's a lot. Now just add $640 a month towards principal. And by the way, I know that sounds easy. It's not easy, but if you can go with the principle of this whole example, I think it'll make sense. It's about $21 a day. Your loan is paid off in 24.2 years, not 30. You save $353,401 in interest, and you get nearly 6 years back mortgage free. It's not a refinance, not a rate change. That's just one small decision made consistently. You're not just now sitting on appreciation, you're actively reducing what you owe. Here's what the rent versus buy debate almost always leaves out. That first home isn't the end game, it's the starting point. Most families I work with buy a home, live in it 6, 7, 8, 9 years. The kids, they get bigger, life changes, and then something powerful happens. They sell and walk away with all that real equity. That equity then becomes a down payment on home number two. A bigger home, higher price point, more leverage working for them. That first purchase, it was the seed. The second purchase is where it compounds. Renters at the same 10-year mark, I don't know, they start over. 430 median net worth for homeowners, 10,000 for renters. One group has definitely been compounding. The other has been paying someone else's mortgage. Let me be real though, a home is not a good investment for everyone. Part of my job is making sure the right people buy and the right people wait. There's a version of homeownership that does real damage, and it usually starts with one thing: a lender who qualifies you for your maximum and just stops there. Just because the bank will lend you X doesn't mean you should borrow X. My job isn't to get you pre-approved, it's to make sure you're approved for what actually makes sense for your life. Your income ratios, your reserves after closing, what's coming in the next few years. The numbers on paper can say yes when your life is saying not yet. And a good lender catches that. And the interest, let's talk about that. Over 30 years, the total interest on a large loan is significant. But here's the part they leave out. It's not a fixed number. It's not a starting point. We showed you what $640 a month extra does. Nearly 6 years gone, $353,000 back in your pocket. Maybe even refinancing when rates move is another lever. The interest isn't a trap. It's a number you can work. So how do you know if you're ready? 3 signals that say yes. 1, you have the reserves after closing. Not just enough for the down payment, money left over, 6 to 9 months of housing expenses. It's pretty important. That's what's going to cover the AC unit when it fails. 2, your payment fits inside your income comfortably. Total housing costs should be somewhere at or under 38% of your gross income. And 3, you're planning to stay at least 5 years, preferably longer. That leverage math only works with time. And one other thing, if your income situation is still in flux, waiting is not losing. Buying the wrong home at the wrong time, that's losing. Look, a home done right is one of the most powerful wealth building decisions a family can make. Not because of the home itself, but because of what it does over time. Yes, there are real costs. Yes, there's interest, but there's also leverage, equity, a foundation for your next purchase, and a 43-to-1 net worth gap that speaks for itself. Here's what most people never think to ask though. It's not just whether to buy, it's how you structure it. Because 2 people can buy the exact same home at the exact same price and end up in completely different financial positions 5 years later. That's the part worth understanding.